I've been fishing a whole 5 minutes. Missed a bite because I'm not very good at this. It's funny how inspiration strikes when you're fishing, though. That's why I like filming and trying to do videos at the same time, because so many things come to mind, stories and things. I need to do more. Just sit down and quit fishing and talk. But I'm going to keep fishing, but I'm going to talk. How's that for something new? I'll be right back. I got an idea for y'all to ponder over. I'm sitting here looking at this snowy bank, and if you can tell, it's a steep bank. Now, it's not really deep here. It's deep up here in front. I'm fishing that little transition because the fish probably aren't up there quite yet. That is the whole point of my video. Is this time of year, fall into winter, to me. Now, remember, I know my shortcomings as a fisherman. I'm not trying to tell you this is the only way it is, but this is something I've observed over 48 years of fishing. Boy, I'm in a nice tree right there. Come on, fish, show me you're there. Nice chunk of brush. Come on, fish, interrupt my video. My idea is, and what I want to pass on to y'all, is this is the most predictable time of year for bass fishing, on at least on highland reservoirs, where we got the rocky banks, we got the clear water, and this water is about 5 foot visibility or so here. But it's the most predictable time because there's no doubt where the majority of the bass are going to. Now, where they make it, how they make it, how many of them make it at one time or another, and still figuring those areas out is important. I'm hurting on that some. But they're basically leaving the late summer, early fall haunts. They start that in September. They're leaving those places. They start moving up past those flats, and then they get into stuff like this, where the creek channel, the big rock, the slab rock, the bluff rock. It's a transition. It happened. If that's a word. But it's the most predictable thing, because eventually 90% of the bass, in a normal winter here in Missouri anyway, 90% of the bass will be on the steeper 45-degree to vertical banks by the middle end of December. That's just all there is to it. It depends on weather. Here it is, it's about 40 degrees out this morning. Obviously there's snow on the banks. The water at the ramp was 41 degrees. It's about 48 right here. A surface temp now, which is something else to get you in trouble. But the bass are going to that. If y'all can see, a steeper banks. That's just all there is to it. What kind of rock is the key in the wintertime for me? And it changes from day to day, week to week. But what kind of rock are they going to get on? Because there's like 5 different kinds of rock on Lake of the Ozarks where I'm at today, and there's probably 20 different blends of those rocks. So you have to kind of figure that out per day. The trick is you catch a couple fish on the same kind of rock. This is almost all solid slab rock. It's not hardly the black rock we have. And this is probably the last thing they go to. I'm probably fishing this too early, but I wanted to fish this little change right here. When you catch a couple fish on a certain kind of rock, you can start keying on that rock in other places. And many times that is the pattern on these kind of lakes in the wintertime. Now again, we're in a change right now. There's going to be fish still up in the back, the pockets feeding. There's going to be fish on the big flats. There's going to be fish out deep. There's going to be fish shallow. But that's what they're going to. And that's what they're going to be on, is the steeper stuff. Most of them, with an interesting exception. I come down here in December and January and February. I'm concentrating on the steeper stuff, the ledges, the deeper breaks, falling off into huge deep water sometimes, trying to establish what kind of rock they're on and how deep they are. There you go. That I could stop right now, but I'm going to pass something on that I figured out over the years, and this is, a secret's probably not exactly the right word to use, but I don't know very many people that ever talk about this. When you're in cold water fishing in highland lakes, and I have my experiences mostly Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri, Oklahoma. Yeah, I'm going to fish 90+% of my time on these steeper banks. I may be fishing shallow on them, I may be fishing deeper, but I'm going to be fishing on the steeper banks. I may be fishing a jig like I am now, or crankbait, a jerk bait. I may have to get farther off of them with, back in the day, with tail spinners and spoons, whatever. That is the primary thing, as long as the winter is fairly cold, which of course winter last year was brutal, and all of a sudden it's getting that way here too. The exception, I'm choking some snot back if you can't tell. Not as bad as Randy. This exception is huge important, y'all. And what the exception is, when you do find bass in the wintertime in cold water, from now until the middle of March here in Missouri, when you find them on them flatter banks, when you find them in them flatter pockets, always near this stuff now, you won't be way back up in a cove or a creek very far. At least I've never found it. But when you're on those kind of fish, when they get up in there on them flatter things and flatter pea gravel and flatter pockets off the main channel, they're big uns. They're grown-ups. Because they're up there for one reason. They're up there to feed. Generally, it takes a little warming trend to make that happen. A warming trend right now would not be very much. And like I said, those fish are still in some of that stuff. But come the middle of winter and into early spring, you cannot completely eliminate the fact that some of them little flat stuff, some of them little pockets, some of them little flats off a big, deep channel are going to have some big fish working them. What I look for is a trend with a little bit nicer weather. I look for shad, the gulls, and these freaking pelicans are everywhere right now behind me. You're looking for that. When you start seeing that, and they're over there off the big channel swing over on that flatter pea gravel stuff, you need to check it out. Bait's your choice, way you like to fish and all that, of course. But I'm telling y'all, that is a big fish deal, 4 pounds and up. So, is that a secret? Is that something might help somebody? I would hope so. I hope I can prove some of this myself this winter. I hope we have the weather continues to keep fishing. I'm not having to worry. My hands are cold. I'm not wearing gloves. It's not that bad today. Got a little bit of breeze, or it'd be really nice. But we're gonna have wintertime eventually. I mean, I got snow on the bank now. Hope that helps my best time of the year to figure fish out, because they're going to this. Bottom line, they're leaving the flats, they're leaving the shallows, they're leaving the backs of creeks, and they're coming to this. Until they're on the shallows and the flats towards the backs of creeks. When they're there, they're grown up big heads. Thank y'all for watching. Hope that helps somebody. Trying to think of things I can talk about that I do still know, even if I can't prove it. It's so sad. God bless y'all. I'm going to get back to this real serious now. Well, I'm going to have some fun for a few hours anyway.